Hello, hello, beautiful souls. How are you doing? So, I just wanted to come on for the weekly psychic tarot reading. There's a lot of heavy, dense energies. We've got a lot going on in the collective, and I'll touch on some of that just briefly. But we've got a lot going on in the collective, a lot of accepting and fighting against injustice, really understanding the long-standing effects of systemic issues around racism, and really looking at how we can actually come together and find solutions, and coming with an energy of finger pointing, problems, and I'm right, you're wrong, looking at the energies of privilege. And so there's a lot going on. And for any of those highly sensitive people, healers, intuitives, empaths, you might really be feeling the effects of those energies right now. And that's not to say that we necessarily have to disengage completely, or we have to avoid conflict or avoid communicating, our what's coming from our heart in terms of how we can actually be part of a solution and how we can fight for change in positive ways, and in ways that we feel comfortable with in terms of our leadership style, how far our voice reaches and what we feel we can bring to the table in terms of bringing our voice to a collective that is asking for change, that is asking for things to be different, because what is happening right now isn't working, and it hasn't worked for quite a long time. And it's not fair when people are being taken advantage of and or are at a loss simply because of a divide or separation that society has placed upon them. And there's a lot of history, there's a lot of layers, and I'm not a politician, I'm not a historian, and so I'm not actually going to really go into that. I'm just coming at this from a place of being human, and also being highly sensitive, as well as being a white privileged woman and healer who, it's really important for me to be able to actually check myself and check in with my thoughts, behaviors, the way I speak, and what message I'm bringing across. Because, it's really easy on social media, especially, to have words misconstrued. However, it is also easy to see some of the subconscious beliefs and programming that you might have, because you might say something and you might be 100% behind it, and you don't see anything wrong with it, so to speak. And then someone brings something to your attention and goes, hey, like this sounded this way, or you're missing something. Now, how easy is it for coaches, leaders, people in the public eye to actually say, oh, you know what? You're right. I definitely am coming from a place of privilege, or I didn't see it that way. Thank you for pointing it out. I will now use my voice in a better way, in a more powerful way. So that's something that I recognized this week, because in the past I'm stubborn. I feel like a powerful woman, and I'm anti-racism, pro-LGBTQT, and really just my life, I've led it in such a way where I do want equality, and I want people to be able to shine their hearts. I want us to be able to be connected and to be more unified than separate. And I do understand that there are so much societal issues, and across the board, it's really difficult for us to feel like we have power or influence over this huge, chaotic energy of, race or preference and just everything. So if you guys are feeling the heaviness of that, then, one of the things we can do is educate ourselves. We can educate ourselves from perspectives that we haven't had to necessarily embody or live with in our lifetime. We can educate ourselves by listening to what everybody has to say and then formulating a solution or an action based on a lot of different perspectives, a lot of different points of view, and come at it from an empowered standpoint. So I just want to say that no one is perfect. And if I ever make a comment that makes you feel uncomfortable, or if you deem it as racist, this doesn't happen to me. I'm actually thinking about someone who is in a coaching position and this morning said something or posted something, and it was quite racist, but they didn't really know, and there was a lot of messaging coming through at them, and they still just defended this perspective. And I'm going, okay, you're a coach, you're a leader. But what's really important is to actually be able to say, okay, I don't need to be right about this. I don't need to be perfect. I can make a mistake. I can be wrong. I can be educated. You can teach me. I can be teachable. So if there's ever anything that I ever say, and I can use my voice more powerfully, and you have a solution-based, respectful way of communicating that to me, please do, because I don't ever want to be one of those people who is so rigid and stuck in their belief system that it just doesn't hit me, it doesn't sink in if I'm really coming from a place of, privilege or racism or anything that is disrespectful in and of itself. So I do want to say, Black lives do matter. And a while back, I actually do remember being upset that I had personally, not, as a coach, but at the same time, when you are an entrepreneur, you are your brand, you are your message. So it is really important that your personal energies match up with the content that you're bringing forward in the world. But I do remember thinking, all lives matter, all lives matter. And yes, this is a truth because it's from a perspective that I carry. I wasn't brought up uber religious. I wasn't brought up in a racist family. I wasn't brought up to, in a family of homophobia. So I was actually brought up and raised in a very liberal energy and unified energy. And I also grew up in a biracial family. So I do have different perspectives on things, but I look back at that and I had said, all lives do matter. And now I'm really recognizing, okay, I see where this is an issue because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter, until those who are oppressed have, an equal voice to my own. Hey, Amanda, how you doing? So I did just want to touch on that because I do believe that, remaining silent is fine too. And you can make, you can take action in your own life that affects things differently. You can embody peace. You can embody, equality and acceptance and nonviolent protesting and whatever it is. You can support people who are using their voice and being vocal. At the same time, I think it's really important to recognize that we can make mistakes. And when we are coming from a perspective, like we've walked one line in life, it's hard to really take into consideration a million other different perspectives. And so I would encourage you guys to educate yourself and look deeper into some of the social media posts that come up and look into the oppression and the cycles that have happened and the differences, perhaps, if you want to get into differences in culture across countries, right? And within our own country, I live in Canada, and there's a lot of racism in Canada as well. And some of it goes under the radar. And so, anyways, just check in with yourself. And if you can show humility in some situations where someone might have a perspective that is coming from a place of experience and knowledge and is supported by, facts and realities, then I think it's really important to listen to those with open ears and give respect to these people who are, perhaps attempting to show you a different way, to use your voice more powerfully. So, all right, I'm going to leave it at that. But if you're fatigued and feeling really heavy or out of sorts, or you don't want to put on the mask and pretend you're fine, that is totally okay. You don't have to put on the mask. You can do what you need to do for you. You can stay inside all day. You can sleep longer. You can take a bath. You can read. You can not participate in social media. Whatever it is that you need to do to take care of yourself. I'm feeling particularly lonely. And when those energies come through for me, I recognize now sometimes where I also go, okay, well, I have to be a certain way to come onto YouTube and make sure that I'm in a positive space and that. But, you don't actually have to portray that. All you have to do is be authentic, and you actually have to be truthful and honest with where you are at. So right now I am struggling. I don't feel connected. I don't feel, the love, so to speak. I'm yearning for friends, family, in ways that are just not present right now. And of course, many of us are still in this kind of hangman energy where we're looking at things and there's a lot of movement within. There's a lot of changes, recognition happening. There's a lot happening on a soul deep level, and the outside is still not reflecting that. There's a lot of chaos. There's violence. There's, oppression. There's a lot happening on the outside that seems to be more negative and scary. And in the closer realms of your immediate existence, I still find it's hard for me to even see, what is happening out there. Like, where is the harvest for all the hard work and the seeds that you planted over a long period of time? So you guys, I get you. I'm there with you. And all I can say is, we've had the message, hang in there, hang in there, hang in there. And it can get a little bit repetitive and frustrating. But, perhaps there's a change in thinking necessary. Perhaps there is, still a way to look at a situation with a little bit of flexibility so that we're not as rigid in our approach, or communicating a little bit differently, learning about different communication styles. So maybe it's a good time to take a course or something like that. So anyways, take care of yourselves, you guys. It's really important right now. And so I do have a new card deck. This one is Notes from the Universe on Love and Connection. Let's see. My dog is sleeping in the doorway, so I'm just going to hope that vacuuming upstairs isn't too loud, because I don't really have any control over that. So this one is Notes from the Universe on Love and Connection. So this is the tarot deck that I'm going to be using for the most part today. And yes, I can pull personal cards at the end here. So let's see what we've got going on for the week. We've got such powerful and potent energies that, things do change very quickly. And there's many of us that are on different kind of timelines or frequency wavelengths. And so these messages will apply to those who are in need of this message coming in through this timeline. I do think it's funny that the vacuuming almost always occurs while I'm doing a video. So it's like one of those things that is frustrating for me. But, there's a lot of different things that are going to be frustrating us. And so it's really important for us to be able to ground ourselves and balance ourselves enough so that when someone pisses us off or triggers us or, is rude or whatever, that we actually have the ability to respond instead of react. Because I'm noting that the triggers are going to be high for this week and coming up in the, months that follow, because just the intensity is huge. So let's see what we've got here. I'm going to take a look. What's recent past, present, and being patient still, which is, I know, terribly awful to say because we've been so patient. But I still believe that, the universe is like on divine timing, and there's so much more to the picture than we can understand or see. So, just continue digging deep for that patience. Let's see what we have in I'm just pulling from the Shadowscapes Tarot. I thought because the energies are so wild that I would use the tarot deck because, they are pretty standardized and recognizable in their messages, especially for you guys that do tarot as well or read oracle cards as well. So, all right, new deck. This is fun. Let's do this. This one's kind of neat because you can actually see a part of the message. They're a little bit sticky because I just got them. But let's do, I did look through the entire stack yesterday and just kind of went through that one. Let's see. And we got this one here. Excellent. Actually, I'm going to use those for the private messages later, so let's just leave those out. Okay, and let's go with this. And if we need any clarifiers, then I'll pull from the messages from the fairy deck here and or the romance angels deck. So let's dig in, you guys. A little bit of lower energies today, not as peppy, not as exciting, but you know what? You have to be truthful to you. You have to go with the flow and be authentic with where you're at. You don't need to pretend you're somewhere else. So I'm not going to pretend, but I'm still showing up. So here we go. This is the past energies we are in. And I was just talking about this in terms of, the energy around conflict, communication, privilege, perspective, point of view, and really understanding that we've got so many beautiful, unique perspectives that instead of clashing and really claiming with the ego, my view is the best view, my view is the right view, we can show some humility here. So it says, I take a deep breath and release all of my desire to be right. Without right, what's left? A soft and pliable version of me that's willing to make mistakes, hear other people's opinions, and try doing stuff a different way. In other words, I get to take a pretty sweet all-inclusive brain vacation. Some restrictions apply depending on the current tenacity of my ego. So, we're in this dismantling of ego, a huge dismantling of ego. And we can see it on such a big collective level. But, think about what humility means to you. Think about there's situations where you appreciated humility in someone else and where you have learned to show humility. So, in many of our relationships too, we want to be a team, but we're coming from a place of competition unbeknownst to us. So it's like we have to be right, or we're perfectionists, or we can't see where the other person is coming from. And it's a battle, it's a conflict. So sometimes compromise is necessary and needed in order to actually, break the resistance of the ego and really, come back to the drawing table and say, hey, is this legitimately where we want to be? And, looking at control, looking at manipulation, and where you utilize that in terms of being right. So this is a really interesting card. Let's see what the tarot is. 8 of Wands. This one's really pretty. I like to, with a Shadowscape deck, if you guys watch my channel, you guys know that I like to read the little booklet that comes with this particular tarot deck because they're very short and very sweet, and they just get right to the point. But I absolutely love the illustrations of this one. So this one says the 8 of Wands is the beginning of a long journey toward a goal. A great undertaking is at hand, and it speeds toward reward with hope and momentum. So we've just ended a big cycle. There's a lot of karmic contracts ending. There's a lot of personal contracts, karma being resolved. And we're moving from one sort of personal identity to a new and higher frequency identity where we can better affect our personal path and purpose. And we're going to be collaborating with really important people as well. So we're going to either be having people come back in who are really important to our path. We're going to have new people coming in to our path, and we're going to be forgiving and forgetting and moving forward with no sort of residue or splinters in those wounds of the past. So this one really is talking about, we've just finished a great journey and now we're just beginning a great journey. So we know what that means. There's going to be ups and downs, highs and lows, and everything in between, but we have completed a journey. So this is time to actually take stock of where we've been and, before racing or rushing into the next thing, just recognize what were our mistakes, what were our failures, and where did they get us? What have we learned from them? What lessons are we actually going to take forward with us? And what are we going to leave behind in terms of, what we no longer need moving forward on our journey? And so from the new deck, we have convince yourself, not others. And this one is totally right up the alley of being right or wrong. So when you're arguing a point, who are you trying to convince? You're trying to beat someone in an argument. You're trying to take away their power by saying you're greater than. I'm right, you're wrong. It's not coming from a place of teamwork or acceptance. So recognize when you're arguing with someone, that you're trying to convince them that you're right, or convince them that you're valuable, or you bring something to the table in relationship, right? So this is a really interesting message to come along with humility and, moving forward on the next leg of our journey here. So this one says, the need to clarify, explain, or justify oneself in personal relationships is always self-serving. What's important is knowing the truth about why you felt the need, because it often points to insecurities that could be dealt with in more effective ways. Hi-ho, the universe. So, so let's just think about that. The need to clarify, explain, or justify oneself in personal relationships is always self-serving. So if you feel like you need to talk to someone or you need to get closure, it's good to recognize that that is coming from a place within yourself. And so if you do need to cultivate closure without a loss of power, then you're going to need to cultivate that closure on your own. So since we are at the end of a great journey and we're learning to show humility, there could be compromise. You could be listening to someone's point of view, perspective, if they come forward. But if they don't come forward or you don't come forward, then, it is good to look at that as a choice. And look at that as a self-serving choice because you're making that decision for a reason. So really looking in and getting in touch with the reasoning behind why you are or you are not speaking out, or why you are trying to convince someone else of your value or your words or the value of your words, right? So it's an interesting one. It's a complex one, but there's a lot of layers to unravel, just like the energy that we're in right now, unraveling layers and layers and layers of energy. So what is going on in the present? Honesty. Woo! So I was talking about honesty because usually I don't come on here and be like, I'm really tired, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling connected. I don't feel supported and all these things. But I think it's good to actually be realistic. And it's one of the things that I admire about myself in a way. And you guys have things that you admire that other people might look at and be like, why is she doing that? What is she doing? But it doesn't matter what other people think about you as long as you are confident and secure with who you are and the message you're bringing forward as well. So this says, this heralds a wonderful time of rooting yourself in complete and total honesty. It might seem scary to tell the truth all the time with everyone about everything, but when you practice radical honesty, you can stop hiding and start relaxing. The best part is, honesty from you inspires honesty from others. What results in rootin' tootin' trust parade? And everyone's invited. Except the bagpipe players, but they'll show up anyway. That's cute. All right, so right now it's very important to not only show humility which means that we're asking the ego to take a back seat. We're going, okay, the soul is in the lead, the heart is in the lead. The mind and the heart are working together for my highest and best here, to avoid traps and pitfalls. But at the same time, the ego is taking the back seat because the ego needs to be right. The ego doesn't want to compromise. The ego wants to control everything so that, you're not vulnerable, you don't get hurt, and or you feel like you're in power or control over others. So you're dominating, you're a tyrant, and really you're just dominating yourself because you're not able to actually connect with people in a vulnerable way if you're a tyrant, if you're, creating a relationship out of bondage. There's no freedom, there's no liberation there. And unfortunately, what that means is you're actually tying your own hands and sabotaging your ability to have relationships. So honesty is really important right now. So communication, truth, trust, honesty, really watching our words too, right? So as I was saying, if you're in a public position and you're sharing your words, be ready for people to call you out if you say something that's not on the up and up, or be ready to show some humility and recognize that, okay, there's a perspective that I missed here, or I didn't see it from that angle, and that's because of my experiences, right? So, this is great. So honesty this week is somehow going to be bringing in celebration, communication, teamwork, partnership, friends, family. And we really need to be honest with ourselves first and foremost before we can actually move ahead with these celebration energies. And I will read what it says in the actual pamphlet here. But in order to truly celebrate, in order to be very happy and satisfied and content in life, you have to be honest with yourself. Because if you're trying to communicate with someone and there's uncertainty or cloudiness, or you want to take action but you don't have clarity, where is their self-deception? Where is the truth inside not aligning with the actions you want to take? So we're still in this hangman energy of really looking within and going, okay, where can I show up better for myself, and where can I be more honest with myself? So let's go to 3 of Cups. A call to celebration, dancing and singing. Friendship is a key component, and companionship, relying on others, and developing community and team spirit. So all of this energy, burning down the old systems that don't work, standing up for injustice, wrongful violence, people in authority who are abusing their power. And even in your own life, saying, this is who I am, accept me or not, but I accept myself. So I don't need your approval. Like, you can see the energies and the underworkings happening here, but this celebration energy, it is very close. And the more we look at unity, the more we, work together to align our goals of equality and unity, and working together, even in, our partnerships and our friendships, by communicating better, by knowing ourselves better, by not hiding and saying we're fine when we are absolutely not fine. That is really important to be able to actually enjoy the celebration. When it does come, you have to trust the people you're around, right? So here is the message. It says, you might not know now, but you will. Interesting. So there's this honesty card, right? So as we are telling our truth, other people are going to be compelled to tell their truth as well. And, we all know that the truth can hurt sometimes, and it does depend on how someone presents the truth. Do they do it to hurt you? Do they do it to inflict pain? Do they get off on that pain? Or are they actually doing a kindness, telling you something that's really difficult to share, but they're hoping that not only does it alleviate energy, stagnant energy or resistance energy within them, but they know that it actually frees you up as well. So in a way, this honesty, these truths are going to be a gift. And so I do think that it is saying here that, friends and people, are going to be coming forward with their truths, and it is going to be a cause for celebration. But We might not see how things are coming together right now, but they are coming together. So it says, think of someone very, very special to you. Now feel yourself bursting with love for them. Now mentally shower, drench, and soak them in that love. Now mentally shower, drench, and soak yourself in my love. Now feel it always, the universe. Very sweet. So, making sure that you drench yourself in the universe's love and the love that you so beautifully share with other people. Make sure you're drenching yourself with that love that you share with others too. So George is coming to say hi. And let's see what we have for the future position here. I always find it funny when he comes in for the readings. Let's see. It says boundless love. Whoa, we're getting some pretty heavy messages here. So today I'll open my eyes a little wider and walk a little taller, noticing the world around me is filled with tiny miracles. With this in mind, it's easy to fall in love over and over again with everything from honeybees to neon signs. And while I'm feeling this inspired and this in love, everything else sort of falls into place. So, over the last 6 months to a year, we've been being asked to embrace the energy of the feminine and receptivity. So receiving instead of always giving, or going with the flow instead of trying to force and control things to happen in the way that we want them to. And so this boundless love is really asking you to see love in all things. See love, focus on the light as much as you possibly can, because that gives you more grounding capability and ability to actually come from a place of calm and balance when you are having to deal with honesty, conflict, or truths that are difficult to hear or navigate, and or relationships that are having trouble, or there's stagnant energy, or there's just, there needs to be positive change or solutions to that. So this boundless love energy is coming off the hops of that celebration of honesty and understanding that we will have the answers or the puzzle pieces that we need to move forward here in this boundless love. Just continue to focus on the energy of love. And, this is beautiful. So to clarify that, we have the star energy. And I find the star to be one of the most beautiful cards in the tarot. I just, it's just even looking at it. So it's a beacon of hope, right? Hey, Teresa, how you doing? So the star says regaining hope, faith in the future, inspiration, finding the still, silent place within your being of serenity, tranquility, and amid trouble, harmony, offering without reservations, sharing and being generous. So this might be a time when we bury the hatchet. We put some things aside because we're going, my present and my future is more important than holding on to the pain of the past and my judgments and criticisms of the past as well. Judgments and criticisms of myself and judgment and criticisms of others. Teresa, I am doing okay. I was saying at the beginning of the reading that it's feeling a little down, a little grumpy, a little despondent, not really as zestful as usual, wishing for a hug and or, friends to be here in my presence and just feel a little bit more supported. But other than that, I am doing pretty well, continuing to stand in my power, continuing to rest and take care of myself, but also introspecting and really asking myself where I am and where I want to be headed. And not hiding the fact that I'm struggling right now is really important for me because, that's something that I always want to bring forward is, honesty and integrity, no matter where I am in my journey. I don't want to pretend that I'm doing well if I'm not. And I don't want you guys to have to feel like you need to do that either. So, today is not a day for me where I feel very empowered, but I also recognize that some of these energies of leadership and empowerment, they're latent, right? They exist within you. sometimes on those days where you're just not feeling it, or you just want to be in bed all day. Like, I had trouble getting out of bed this morning. I'm like, I don't want to go into the world today. So a little bit of snail energy, and preferring probably just stay inside the shell. But I do recognize as well that that's a big part of the collective energies, being an empath and someone who's very sensitive to energy. How could I not be feeling this way? It could be a lot worse, in fact, right? So for you guys that are just tuning in, I was saying be gentle with yourselves right now, because if you're feeling off, if you're not feeling it, if you don't want to participate, if you're an artist or a creator and you're just like, no, I can't create right now, then honor that too. Like, honor that void space within this transition time from one thing to the next, and honor, the uncertainty and kind of the disgrace that's happening in the world, where we're, really saying like, no more racism, no more oppression, no more injustice. We have to work together against racism and for something more unified, more positive. And we have to recognize that, how systemic and how deep the oppression is. And it is different in different areas, but I'm not going to go into it again. I need to kind of like reel myself back in. But it is so important for us to use our voice for positive change in the world, and to look for solutions, and to take heed and listen to leaders who are calling things out, and to assist in ways which we feel comfortable with, whether that's peaceful protest or whatnot, or posting something, or just journaling about how you feel about it is important. So yeah, deep energy is happening. And I really feel like this is almost like the precipice of a huge cliff, where you're just being bloop, pushed over, and it can feel like you have nothing that you're tethered to. Like, and that can be really disconcerting. And I do know that I've been feeling like there's a new soul group that's going to be coming into my life, that my life is going to be radically different from what it is right now. And a lot of the problems or issues I'm looking at are basically going to be totally revolutionized in terms of their importance to me, because I can just feel it. I know that change is here. So if you guys are feeling the same way and you're getting a little antsy, take this day to be, find some solitude for yourself and be out in nature. And if you don't want to do that, just hang out in bed, watch movies, whatever makes you happy today. Just today really is a day for you to rest and find peace within yourself. So we just had boundless love and the star, you guys. We are being helped through this chaos. There's something inside of us that is being activated and ignited and triggered by the unrest, by the uncertainty, and it is continuing to progress. And, sometimes I'll just say the astrology is really potent, and it's good to take a look sometimes. I know at this point I'm going, I can't even take it. Like, I can't even listen to astrology anymore. So if you're at that place where you're overwhelmed, then unplug a little bit more and really only invest your time and energy where you feel it is valued. So let's see what we have to clarify the star and boundless love. And Teresa, I've got a new deck, so I'm using that. Everyone is doing their best. This one can be really hard when we are being patient or coming from a place of compassion and unlearning ego traits and self-sabotage, and learning how to come from the heart and the soul, but not really knowing which is which, because you're dismantling and dissolving old energies. And so you might be a little bit, have some trepidation about how you're moving forward in the world and how you're communicating and what is right and what is wrong. And so this one says there are really only two types of people: those you now love and those you will love, until there's only one type of person. And then we'll probably hit replay. The game of life, the universe. Interesting. So love is love, baby. The focus of this, final line here: boundless love, the star, and everyone is doing their best. So try your best to stay away from judgment and criticism, and come from a place of creative solutions and forgiveness and acceptance, or, leading by example, and instead of pointing fingers, trying to, hey, this is how that came across, right? Like trying to find a creative approach to problem solving. And honesty, that's why honesty, I think they're bringing me back to the honesty in the middle line. That's why honesty is so important in these conversations, because if you're being honest, you don't have anything to hide, right? If you're being totally honest, then there's nothing to think back on. There's nothing to hide or repress. It's there, and that is it. So if someone wants to talk to you about that, that is your truth. And so that, I'm just going to pull some clarifier cards. So I'm not surprised that it's a little bit choppy. But let's see what kind of fairy messages we've got going on to clarify those. So, exactly, Teresa. So, the clarifiers for the first line, which was humility, the Eight of Wands, so the beginning of a long journey, and also the end of a journey, and the need to justify or clarify ourselves, coming from a self-serving way, coming from a need to repair the ego. And our card is transformation. Holy, look at the beautiful colors and energies of this card. Sorry, I've got an itchy eyeball. Okay. The process of self-transformation will open your eyes to the timeless truth of yourself. This is all of what, has been happening. Dismantling the ego, seeing where we were coming from before, and where we might look back and go, ooh, yes, that was ancestral patterning or societal patterning. The Eight of Wands, like really noting, like, life is a hard journey, right? Like, it is not an easy ride. So show some humility in that as well. And so convince yourself, not others. So really focusing on yourself right now, continuing to focus on yourself, which is really hard when we want to just connect and, create and have companionship or whatever it is for you that you're really like excited about. Continue to focus on you and healing yourself and bringing your best self forward in total honesty. So this one, there's truth within us that is timeless, and we are reshaped and reshaped over time, right? And our truth can change depending on how, well we know ourselves. And so this one is really interesting in terms of there will be new truths that we discover about ourselves as we move through these transformations. And this one was in the past position. So we are feeling something different about ourselves. We've learned something new about our personality, about our traits, about what we no longer want to bring forward with us, what stunts and limits our communication, where the need to be right or the need to clarify or justify our words or our actions comes in, because a part of that is approval seeking. So we've kind of learned where we stand on our own 2 feet and where we feel dependent on others. And in the midsection, we have honesty. So being honest, we've got the 3 cups, time for celebration, time for community, time for, the honesty and the transparency and the humility of not having to be right, bring forward compromise and connection. And it says, you might not know now, but you will. So understanding that friends, soul family, and honesty is going to bring in that energy of celebration. So there will be kind of celebration for all this hard work and this honesty. So let's clarify that passion. So being honest, being truthful about where we are and who we are is going to bring out the passion in life again. So passion is an inner flame that will keep you striving towards your vision. So don't allow, your flame to go out. So keep on stoking the flame, all right? Even if we're not feeling, that passionate about things, energies have got us down, we're in a lull or a rut, or we feel like we are, we still have this eternal flame and this timeless truth that we have within us. So if you need to rely or fall back onto those energies, just know you always have that passion, even while you're in transformation. And that flame can be reignited and ignited bigger than ever before. It's just going to take time and that investment and that trust and patience. So the clarity for the final line, which was boundless love, the star, and everyone is doing their best, is dreams. Dreams see the possible pathways of a future that act as a roadmap for our actions. So really paying attention to our dreams, both our literal dreams, or I should say metaphorical dreams, I guess, but our dreams in our mind. And there was 444 on the time stamp there, just for those of you that resonates with. But your dreams and your goals in life as well. So paying attention to all the signs and messages that are coming through. We are doing our best. So paying attention to your dreams, what is true for you, not what someone else wants for you. So you should do this, you should do that, you should do this, you should do that. What do you want to do? So really bring it back to you. If you are madly in love with someone and you need to express yourself and you're afraid, do it. But if someone's like, no, you shouldn't do that, are you going to listen to them or are you going to listen to you? You'll find out either way. You'll learn a lesson either way. But what I'm really saying is come back to your own truth and your own guidance system right now, because it's really important to listen to yourself. And so a little tiny bit of discombobulated energies here, but I think we got the gist of the messages coming through, that, and most of all, it's really honesty and love coming through, and acceptance of this transformation, and bringing back that passion and understanding that, you know, a lot of work goes into achieving our dreams and our goals. So it's a very, very powerful and potent time. So please, please, please take care of yourself, be kind to yourself and others, and be teachable, be teachable and flexible. And if you can, learn new ways of communicating that serve you better and serve others better, in terms of coming from a place of total honesty. So this is a really, really interesting reading, I find. Because usually it's just a little bit different. So we're being given a little bit of different energies to work with for this week coming up. So if you would like a tarot pull for yourself, a personal reading, I'd be happy to pull a card for you. Just put yes, please in the comments there. And thank you so much for joining me today. If this is your first time on the channel, please give me a subscribe and a like, or set the reminder bell for the next video. I'm usually on Tuesdays and Saturdays, and do pop-up videos in between. So, and I do appreciate your support, of course. We'll put up a link for donations if you do feel inclined to leave a donation. You're welcome to buy a coffee, or put in a request for a new deck. That's great as well. So you can also find me on Facebook at Kindred Heart Tarot, and of course I'm on Instagram there at Mollie Kindred. So, alrighty. If you would like a card, we got Teresa. All right, Teresa, I'm going to pull from the new deck, and I'll leave the other cards that we pulled out. So this one is your message to help you out just for today. What does your higher self, what do your guides, angels, ancestors want you to know for your highest and best right now? Oh, wow. Just kind of popped out, but I kind of caught a little bit of that card, and it's reflecting part of the message for the entire reading. So it says it's not only about being right. So we must be sharing some energies here, because I was even asking myself on my walk today, where am I creating stagnancy in my life just by needing to be right? And where am I actually, standing my ground for my value? What's the difference? So it is a very interesting energy. Let's see what the card says. It says, in all tests of character, when two viewpoints are pitted against each other, in the final analysis, the thing that will strike you the most is not who was right or wrong, strong or weak, wise or foolish, but who went to the greater length in considering the other's perspective. And that, I guess, is our clarity on humility for those who stayed to the end. That is an awesome message. Oh, there was a card that I pulled that kind of reminded me of that too. But that's beautiful. I'll read that one more time, you guys. In all tests of character, when two viewpoints are pitted against each other, in the final analysis, the thing that will strike you the most is not who is right or wrong, strong or weak, wise or foolish, but who went to the greater length in considering the other's perspective. Don't you agree? The universe. Interesting. So important for us to consider other people's perspectives and to really let go of being right or wrong and really put some energy and effort instead of fighting to be right. Put energy and effort into listening. Where are they coming from? Why do they have that perspective? What experiences shaped them to have that perspective, to bring that perspective forward? So this is a really, really interesting one, considering everything that's going on right now. So I don't see anyone else that is looking for a card pull. I don't think Carmel is on anymore, but if you are, just put yes, please in the comments. And once again, thanks guys for tuning in. A very important day for self-care and really maybe just having some solitude, some quiet, some peace. But I hope that those messages brought you a little bit of clarity or reassurance, or just remind you of the energies that are required to be in balance and to come from a place of love. You know, it does take energy and time and effort to evaluate and go inwards and look at the shadow self and really, you know, be kind to yourself and accept and bringing forward total honesty. That's also something that, you know, we're not really taught to do that. So it's a very interesting energy to bring forward. So thank you again, everyone who tuned in today. Sorry for those who I missed on the live and who are catching the replay. I will catch up with you next time, or I may or may not do a reading later, but this for me is my act of service for the day. All right, lots of love, you guys. Take care, and I will catch you next time. Bye.